In this video, we're covering our two-step equations. So we've already covered equations or one-step equations, and we've looked at our inverse operations already in a previous video. So I'm going to elaborate on those a bit more because we can get to equations that require multiple different steps, such as when we get to a two-step equation. This requires two operations to occur when we're trying to find the solution. So again, we're going to go through our inverse operations. So I'm going to write down my operations here. So if we have plus, we have, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Now, each of these inverse operations are what we call essentially the opposite. So the opposite of addition is subtraction. The opposite of subtraction is addition. The opposite of multiplication is division. And the opposite of division is multiplication. So when we're doing these backtracking, when we're trying to solve these equations, remember, if we have something such as a plus 2, what we need to do to both sides of the equal sign is minus 2. We do the opposite. And the same works if we had a times. Let's say we had 2x, which remember 2x is 2 times x. So we have 2 times something. So to get rid of that 2 out the front, so we're just left with the x, we're going to divide everything by 2. So again, inverse operations are key when we're trying to solve these forms of equations. So I think the best way to look at these and solve them is obviously to do them. And it's easier to write them out a little bit bigger just so we can see what's going on. So if I have 2x plus 1 equals 11. The first thing I want to get rid of is the number by itself, that one there. I want to move that over to the right hand side. So over here we have our left hand side and our right hand side. So sometimes you'll hear me referring to them as that. Now remember, the equal sign doesn't change, that's always going to be there. So to begin with, we're going to focus on that plus 1. And the opposite of plus 1, or the opposite of addition, remember, is subtraction. So I write minus 1 underneath. And we always have a line of our answer, then a line of working. So here's our working line. And then we're going to have our answer down here. So we've done minus 1. What you do to one side of the equal sign, so if I've done the minus 1 on the left-hand side, I also need to do minus 1 on the right-hand side. Now the key reason why we do these inverse operations is plus 1, minus 1. They cancel out. And the only thing I'm left with is this 2x. So I can rewrite that down here. So 2x, that equal sign stays there. And now I have 11 take away 1, which is 10. So now I've gone to my next line. The 2x equals 10. Now remember, just a side note over here, that 2x is the same as having 2 times x. And again, the opposite of multiplication is division, so I'm going to divide by 2. We tend to write them as a fraction like that. You can write them like this, but it's probably better practice to do it as a fraction. Now, these 2's cancel out, and the only thing left over is my x, which is what we were after. The equal sign's there, and then 10 divided by 2 is 5. So x equals 5. So we're going to move on and we're going to try a different one here. We have negative 5x plus 8 equals negative 12. So we begin the same way that we did before. We want to get rid of that positive 8, that number that's by itself. So let's do minus 8 and minus 8. So these cancel out. I'm left with negative 5x equals. Now remember, we have two negatives here. We have a negative and a negative. When you're subtracting from a negative number, that negative number becomes bigger. So negative 12 take away 8 is negative 20. I then need to get rid of this minus 5. Now, a lot of people tend to go, oh, well, it's minus 5 there. All right, so we're going to plus 5, but that's not right. We have minus 5x. So we need to do a multiplication there. That is a multiplication. There's a multiplication in there. So what we're going to do is divide by negative 5. Divide by negative 5. They cancel out. I'm left with x equals, my negatives here cancel out, and I'm left with 20 divided by 5, which is 4. We'll do this one here. 2x minus 5 equals 9. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit. So we're going to get rid of that 5 plus plus. 2x remains equals 9 plus 5, which is 14. We have a 2 out the front of the x, so we're going to divide by 2. The 2's cancel, and I'm left with x equals 7. So you can start to get really quick at these the more you do it. Next one we'll look at, and last one, is x over 2 plus 5 equals 9. We start off the same way, minus 5 minus 5. We're left with x over 2 equals 9 take away 5, which is 4. Remember this here, this line here just simply means division. So the opposite of division is multiplication. So let's multiply everything by 2. Those 2's cancel out. And we're left with x equals 4 times 2, which is 8. So again, take a step at a time. If you saw with all of these, I did one thing at a time. So here we did our minus 5. The next step was times 2. If I move up to this one up here, same thing. I did one step here. I did it, then I did the second step. One step at a time. Take baby steps until you get to your final answer.